morning, viewers. We are Baraton TV here and hereafter. Once again, bringing you a brief on diagnosis of COVID-19. Today, our topic is an interesting one because diagnosis is very important in a time like this for COVID-19. When should we think about diagnosis of COVID-19? When should we actually think about the diagnosis of COVID-19? When should you think about diagnosis of COVID-19? We move around nowadays. These are days when we will move here and there, and maybe we might travel to an area where COVID-19 is, and maybe where there is actually an ongoing spread or community spread of the COVID-19. If you have done that travel in 14 days, there is a reason for you to think about testing. And maybe you can just be a part of screening for COVID-19. Another reason why you might want to think about testing for COVID-19 is if you have close contact with COVID-19 patients. Probably you have known that a patient has COVID-19 and you have had some close contact with that patient. It is good for you to test for COVID-19. Present yourself at a health facility and you may be part of a testing exercise. Also, there is a need to test for COVID-19 if you are at higher risk of serious illness. You probably have an underlying disease and you might want to test for COVID-19 if you are feeling some signs and symptoms of COVID-19. So testing is extremely important for COVID-19. Diagnosis is extremely important in this time of COVID-19. The specimen that will be used for COVID-19 may be a throat swab, maybe sample from the nose, and then maybe even sputum can be sent for testing for COVID-19. So what are the kinds of testing currently available for COVID-19? You can first do an antibody testing for COVID-19. Antibody testing for COVID-19. What is an antibody testing for COVID-19? An antibody is a protein that the body will produce, and then that test will detect it because you probably have had a past infection and now you have the viral proteins in your body. So that test is good because it tells you if you have had an important infection, in fact, past infection, if you are even positive. So the test is important for you to do. So another test is actually the diagnostic test. And that test is a test now to find if you have an active infection, not a past infection. So you see that we have various kinds of tests. An antibody test to help you to know if you have a past infection, and then diagnostic tests, like for example, you have molecular tests. A molecular test is very important because it tests for the genes of the virus in you. And that actually, you can almost, that it is definitive. It confirms the genes of the virus. And you know genes are unique to individuals. So it is good for you to also do a molecular test if it's available. And then we also have the antigen test. The antigen test actually is extremely good because it also diagnoses you of having COVID-19. Many times it can be in a rapid test form, quick test. The protein part of the virus is actually what you are testing for. It is faster and less expensive than the molecular tests. It can have false negative results, by the way, and like I'm saying, it can actually have false negative results. So you use a molecular test to confirm diagnosis of COVID-19. Again, I will try to inform you that even the antibody test is important. It is important because it tells you if you have a past infection. And then also, if you have a past infection, you will have antibodies in your body and then you may have some immunity. Now, I'd like for you to know that not all people will develop immunity, because according to the WHO, studies and research is still going on if long-lasting immunity can be achieved by a past infection with the coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2 virus, or if you have had the COVID-19 disease. Viewers, here we are once again coming to you, giving some light or throwing light on diagnosis of COVID-19. And I would like to recapture the point. To diagnose COVID-19, you do not have to be afraid. This is a time when we will have community spread of the disease. So it is good to think about diagnosis. If you have traveled to an area where COVID-19 is being spread in the community, if you have been in contact with a patient who has had COVID-19, or if you are at higher risk of serious illness, like you have some underlying disease, could be diabetes, could be other viruses in the body, or just anything to weaken your immune system. So these antibodies are there in your body if you've had a past infection and may help to fight the virus in the future. We are Baraton TV, here and hereafter, coming to you once again from the beautiful campus of the University of Eastern Africa, Baraton. Thank you and goodbye.